welcome to the channel. I hope that you're gonna enjoy this video. So this video is about you who wants to buy a car, who feel very insecure about buying this car, or let's say you had a car and you had a very bad experience. So I'm gonna give you my advice and about how to buy this first car and what you should look for. It's definitely crucial that you have some knowledge about what you're going into, because a car can be your worst nightmare or it can be the best decision you ever made. And today I'm gonna make sure, absolutely guarantee 100% that the tips I'm gonna give you is going to provide you to buy a good car and not going into a nightmare. So this experience I'm about to give you now is something that took me many years to experience and gather information throughout time. So if you find this video interesting and give you some nice information that you can use, because I am going to give you, hit that subscribe button so we can grow this channel together and we can make sure that other people out there are going to buy a car without feeling bad because they bought a bad car or a car which hasn't done labor and needs maintenance. So let's just jump right into it, guys. So the first tip I'm gonna give you, tip number one, is that you must have a car with low mileage. So what do I mean extra about this? So here I'm gonna show you an example for a car that's been going 300,000 kilometers. You can convert that into miles, or we have a car that's been going around 100,000 miles. Sorry, 100,000 kilometers. I would go with the car that's have 100,000 kilometers on the clock. As you can see on my smart here as an example, this is the 180,000, and if you haven't watched that video you can go and watch it. So what it basically means is that it's been driven 180,000 kilometers around the world, and which is a lot. So when you're going to buy a car, no matter what car you buy, if you buy a car who has a low mileage, then you will definitely not be running into trouble. If you can keep it around the 100,000, it's perfect, because then you know it hasn't been driven so much. And what I have noting here is that you should pay extra for a car that have low mileage. So let's say you find two same identical cars, and you should definitely go for the one who has lower mileage, because the chances are that car haven't been going a lot, and you should pay extra for that low mileage. So tip number two is that don't buy a car if the car doesn't have two keys. The first reason is that if you buy a car that who only have one key, chances are that one, maybe the seller is trying to scam you. He has the second key, or she has the second key, and she's waiting for, or the person who wants to scam is waiting for another person to buy the car, then they can go steal the car and you have a problem. You just paid money and you lost the car. So definitely, pro tip is that don't buy a car if you don't have two keys, period. If you lose one of the keys, one, you have to pay for someone to pick up your car with a truck and drive it to service to make a new key. And two, as I told you before, it's very expensive, and if you lose your key, it's gonna be a nightmare. You're gonna have to wait in the workshop for several days. Your car has to be at least 3 days in the service to get a new key, plus you're gonna pay a lot of money for that key, probably around, I would say, $500. If you go to, for example, Mercedes workshop, they only want to give you the price for one key. So if you want two keys, it's the double price. So never buy a car if the car doesn't have two keys. Number three, this is a very important as well, is if you look at the cars outside, you can see some orange spots or some cracked spots, and those cracked spots, they are rust. And if a car has rust and the mileage is low, it means that probably it's a scam, which means that if the car has a lot of rust, then means it has been driven a lot, or it hasn't been taken care of. But most times rust means that the car has been driven a lot, and that's a fact, and nobody can argument for that. So if you look for a car and you see it have low mileage and there's a lot of rust in the paint, on the panels, there's these orange spots, crack spots, don't buy the car, because that's rust and that needs to be repaired, and that's not good. So yeah, definitely, as I have in my notes here, I say also bad paint. If the car has bad paint, there's scratch, cracks in the paint and white spots and stuff like that, it means that the paint is not in good condition, which means that it's about to get rusty with the rain and snow. So don't do that, guys. So another tip is that you should definitely buy a car with small engine if you want to be economic. So for you who don't know about engine size, I'm gonna make a separate video about engine size. But the thing is that when you have a car and you want to go from A to B very economically, you should look for a small engine. And for those who don't know what is a small engine, the best option I can give you, the best example I can give you is my own car, the Smart 4.2 I have here. I'm gonna show you. This car, it has a 0.8 engine and 3-cylinder, which is the most economical engine you can have, and it's a great car for a beginner because it's very economical. And right now we're in a time where the economy is very bad, so you want to save some money. You can't just go and buy a big engine car which is going to use a lot of gas. And guys, most sellers, they want to scam you. Even though it's a big engine, they will say that yeah, this car is economical and yada yada. After you buy it, you cannot sell it back because you already bought it. So most of them just trying to scam you, and what they want to do is that they want to sell you a car which has a very big engine, and they want to tell you, it's economical. But what you should look for is 1.4, 1.5, 1.2 engines. This is the capacity of the engine, and most of all it will be, for example, the Smart I have, it's a 0.8 diesel. When the car is a diesel, it's way more economical than gasoline car. So, and for example, I can give you is, if you want to look for economical engine in your area, let's say you're in America, you should, I think the smallest engine you can find in America is the 2.0 engines, the 2.0, which means 2000 cubic centimeters, which means it's the capacity of the pistons. So the car have pistons, and typically it has 4 pistons, the smaller engines, and the capacity of the engine, it's from 0.8, 1.2, 1.5, 2.0, and then it just grows. But most cars, if you are going over 2.0, 2000 cubic centimeters, it means that we are starting to move up in the size of cylinders, which means if it's a 2.5, chances are it will be a 6-cylinder. So it won't be 4 cylinders who's banging in the engine, but it will be 6 engines. And then we also have a V8, which is 8 pistons, which is in a cross like this. So the engine works like this, and this is not economical at all because the engine uses a lot of gasoline. So you should look for a 4-cylinder or 3-cylinder, and you should look for the sizes up to 2.0. Don't go higher than 2.0. If you are looking for a van, a big van where you can transport groceries and furniture, what you want is that you can find some of them being 2.5 cubic size, but most of the vans, the reason they make the pistons bigger is because the car is heavier. But most of them are 4-cylinder as well if you're looking for the van. But there's always, if you're looking for Chevy trucks, chances are you will never find less than a V8. So don't buy a V8, don't buy a Chevy truck if you are looking for a car which is economical, because you won't find it. And it will take all your money in gasoline. Every day you have to put gasoline. And so you should look for a 1.2.0, 1.0, 1.5, 4-cylinder, 3-cylinder, or with diesel engines, and then you will have a very economical engine. So, and my next tip here is buy a car with diesel engine. Diesel engine is very economical. If you buy gasoline, it has a higher fuel consumption, which means that it will use more to drive the engine. When you have a diesel, the diesel works with heat. and so the engine is heating, and as long as the engine is warm, it will have a very low fuel consumption. So therefore diesel engine is what you want to buy if you want economic. If you buy a car like BMW, Mercedes, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Bentley, they will have also gasoline engine, and it will not be a cheap experience. It will be very expensive for you. So one thing that I want to point out is that if you look at a car and you see the paint is fine, the mileage is low, the engine is small, then you can look at the headlights. If the headlights are a little bit yellowish, it means that it's been driven a lot, but chances are the car has been repainted, but the headlights are still yellow. That means that the car can have a lot of driving history, and they have put the mileage down with technological input, where a guy is simply hacking into the car and putting the mileage down, so it looks like the car is new, which is very, 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 very bad, because most people, they don't see that. But the way you can see that is that if you look at the headlights, and the headlights are a little bit yellow, they have this yellow layer on the headlights, on the glass, you can see that. That means that the car has been driven a lot, or it means that the car has been staying in an area where there's a lot of sun, and therefore the car has been doing maybe a paint job, but they haven't been taking care of the headlights. So you should just know that. I'm just gonna say it because I don't want you to make big mistake. I want you to have a car which have nice headlight, nice paint job, no rust, and low mileage, and small engine. So, and I want to give you an example, guys, for some cars that I would go for versus some cars that I wouldn't go for. And the cars I would go for is German and Japan cars. German cars is Mercedes, is BMW, is Volkswagen. German car is Audi, is Seat, Skoda, and also some models from Japan. It's Honda and Toyota. Honda and Toyota, very good model, very good car brands. They have a lot of experience. And we also have the Swedish, which is Volvo. Volvo is a very, very reliable car as well. And also we have, as I mentioned, we also have this brand called Chrysler. Chrysler is also a great brand. And then we have some brands which I would stay away from if I was you. And it doesn't matter if the mileage is low or high. It's just cars that I would only buy from new. But even if you buy them from new, chances are that you should have spent that money on German car instead, because German car is more quality, it will hold long time. But especially brands like the French car market, like Peugeot and Citroën, Renault, they just have a history of bad failures all the time. And Fiat, especially Fiat, is not a good car, a lot of problems. And in my opinion, because it's my experience, I have driven cars and I've been interested in cars for a long time, since I was 15-16 years old. We have the Korean car industry, which is not good, guys. We have this Kia. Kia, I have been owning one Kia, and it was always making problems with the gear. And same with the Hyundai, which is also a Korean brand, which is actually the same brand, just different models. And again, they always make problem with the chassis, with the bolts. They make problem with the gearing. I remember several times Korean cars like Kia and Hyundai making mistakes. I was running a pizzeria, a pizza shop with a friend of mine, and we had actually both cars. We had a Kia and a Hyundai. The Kia always made problems with the engine, with the turbo system, and also with some heating problems. And the Hyundai always made problems with the bearings in the wheels, so the wheels were always shaking. And the gearing, it was having very much trouble going into rear gear. So, and also first gear, it was making trouble. So guys, to sum everything up, look for a good paint job, look for no rust, look for a low mileage, look for the headlights are not yellow, and small engine capacity. Don't go for French cars and Korean cars. Stay with Japan and Germany, and like Volvo and Chrysler. Chevrolet is a good brand. It's American, I guess. And there's also a car brand named Infiniti. I haven't been driving an Infiniti before, but I heard that it's a car where it's the same brand maybe as a Korean. I would stay away from it personally. I would stick to the German industry. I would stick to especially Toyota, which is a very good brand, and Honda as well. They just have cars which are amazing. I always heard good stories about those cars. And we also have a lot of they have a lot of years in production, so they know what they have been doing. And that's it, guys, for the video. I hope you learned something. I know you learned something, so hit the subscribe button, comment if you learned something from this video. Thank you for watching my video, and I know that this video is benefit for me because it took me a lot of years to put this on paper. I made many mistakes, so after you watch this video, I know that you're not gonna make mistakes anymore about buying a car, and you should feel confident to go and buy a car now. So go and buy a car and subscribe to this video, and see you.